The Gauge would like your help in understanding you better. All you need to do to help out is fill out a simple audience survey. Just go to bit.ly/Gauge survey and fill out the short survey in helping the Gauge improve your listening experience. That's bit.ly/Gauge survey, or you can find a link to the survey at thegaugepodcast.com.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Manscaped. Guys, Manscaped, the Lawnmower 3.0. The only thing I wish I could have done in my whole life is try the first and second version of this trimmer. Why? Because I wanted to see how much better this one was than what they created before. I will tell you, they sent me this exact Lawnmower 3.0 right here. I took it to town. Guys, I did what they said. I mowed the lawn. It was a pleasurable experience, to say the least. I know we have a lot of ladies out there. I know we've got female followers, a good number of you. Guys, get the Lawnmower 3.0 for your man, for your cowboy, for the men in your life. Everybody wants a clean undercarriage. Everyone wants clean shaved. I know, this is a weird topic, right? It's a little bit weird, but in this Lawnmower 3.0, you have the most premium trimmer on the market. It's waterproof, guys. You've got 90 minutes of battery life with this sucker. You've got this little LED light. You see that? Yeah, you can trim in the dark. If you don't want anybody to see you, you can trim in the dark. Maybe that's in a living quarters horse trailer. Point is, I will never use another trimmer in my life. Once you guys get your Lawnmower 3.0, you will never, ever use another trimmer. With their ceramic blades, they've got a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology. Yeah, quiet stroke technology. You cannot go wrong with the Lawnmower 3.0, guys. It's the newest version from Manscaped. Get yourself right. We're cowboys. We're not heathens. Manscaping is important. Take care of your manscaping, people. And guys, do I have a deal for you? You can get your very own Lawnmower 3.0 with a 20% discount plus free shipping. Yeah, 20% and free shipping. Come on, guys. You want that. Use promo code GAUGE at checkout. That is GAUGE at checkout when you go to manscaped.com. You'll thank me later. Manscaped.com.
This is The Gauge with host Chance Conradu.
Are you freaking serious? It's Conrado. This is The Gauge, and I am Chance Conrado. On this episode of the podcast, we have got Cody Custer. Cody is a ProRodeo Hall of Fame inductee. He is an NFR champion. He's been the NFR a whole bunch of times. You know, he was one of the original guys who was around and kind of helped form the PBR, if you will, as an athlete. And he's got a lot of cool opinions. He's a no BS guy when it comes to riding and bull riding and what goes with that. You know, fun fact about him, he actually was a stand-in for the movie 8 Seconds as Lane Frost. You know, he rode a bull on that. That's pretty cool. But yeah, Cody Custer's a cool guy. Check it out. Yeah, normally we just kind of shoot the shit. Okay. And cool. So, I mean, if someone has a real interesting story to tell, or it just depends on who it is, right? Like, there's certain people who've come on the show and they felt like it was real important for them to tell kind of their story and their come up and their struggles and things like that.
Well, I'm pretty easy. A lot of stuff I do kind of involves the youth, so we try to go that direction. So
that's what my mom was telling me. Yeah, she called me. She's like, you know, you ought to have on the show. You ought to talk to Cody Custer, and I think he'd be a good one. And it's interesting because, you know, you obviously rodeoed. You've got tons of insight from rodeo, but you rodeoed in a totally different era. Right. I mean, the sport the sport itself hasn't changed, but kind of the presentation of it. And I mean, with bull riding, the PBR has blown up, you know?
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting probably for a bull rider to see kind of where the sport has come, you know, based on when you kind of got into it.
Yeah, it's exciting for me to see everything. I mean,
yeah,
it's unbelievable what, you know, guys be able to leave the sport with something to speak of instead of have to be a poor guy.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the story of old cowboys, right? Is it's not a sport to get rich on.
Well, I mean, every sport's like that too.
Yep.
You look at like Walt Garrison and that whole bunch. They were doing it for what, $500 a weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, I don't know, but so it's different. Everything's different now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you see guys like JB, with his earnings and all that. I mean,
Have you got him on here?
he
yet?
hasn't been on here. No.
You need to get him.
Yeah. He's
a
pretty
badass.
entertaining.
He's a badass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, nobody. Yeah,
You know him pretty well.
I know him real well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Like JB.
He's entertaining, and that's the best thing about rodeo, right? Is when you get a guy like that who just doesn't give two craps.
He gives a crap, not zero. Like
which is the best thing. That's what I like about JB Mooney is I just like that attitude.
Well, it's like he said this sport's just friggin' gone to shit. I said, oh yeah. And he said, yeah. There's no beer in the locker room. Can't smoke in there. He said, there's some guy in the corner doing yoga. I'm like, man, that's funny.
Yeah, we were talking with one of the sports medicine teams at one point about how the bull riding athlete has changed, and they talked about JB Mooney having like Copenhagen and beer and other things in his bag, and now the guys have pre-workout and vitamins and stuff like that in there, and but that kind of speaks to the evolution of just sport in general, right?
Right. I mean, it's different. Like, I wish I'd have been more of athlete-minded when I was rodeoing, which I never sat around. I wasn't just like a rodeo bum. I did, I was always doing something.
Right.
So it wasn't like I was a spoiled little bull rider. I was kind of out there doing stuff and whatever. But so I stayed in pretty good shape that way. But I never hit the gym till I was 30. I had surgeries and kind of had to get in there, and then I stayed in there till I quit.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, and back in those days, I mean, mid to late 80s, early 90s, heck, when I was born, but I mean, that wasn't really the mentality of rodeo whatsoever.
Different.
Yeah, which is interesting. Like for you though, like when you started, like what was it that pushed like you to want to be in rodeo?
Well, I mean, I was born into kind of a ranching family. My granddad ran a ranch south of Grand Canyon, so I grew up on that ranch.
Yeah.
And so I was always getting on whatever I could get on. And, like I went on Roundup when I was 4 years old and stuff like that. I just always around it. My dad rode bulls and bareback horses before I was born. He quit. He had an injury that made him quit, but we always roped and he always roped. My granddad had ridden broncs. My uncle rode bareback horses professionally. My mom roped and was a trick rider, so I've been around it from day one.
Right.
So it wasn't like something I came up with. It's just I walked into it, and that's all I've ever wanted to be. So
yeah, I mean, that's like really the majority of people, right? It's like same thing for me. I'm born and raised on a ranch. I mean, that's where most of us come from, which is probably why like rodeo people have a hard time relating to others. Like with their mindsets and kind of, especially nowadays, right?
Yeah.
It's just because it's just such a different way to grow up.
Well, and I'm by no means a cowboy, if you want, I mean, like a ranch cowboy, but I can go on a roundup and know where I'm supposed to be and stuff like that. Cause that was kind of, I was around that when I was a kid, so I can still go, not be a pain in the butt type deal when they, when we're rounding up cattle or doing a branding or something like that, I kind of put in be valuable. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a different lifestyle. It's funny because sometimes people from ranches go on rodeo, but not a ton of people go from rodeo into ranching. I mean, there's a lot of reasons for it, but unless you're like a second or third or fourth generation person who gets like a lump sum of property handed down from your family, I mean, how would you don't even really get started in that, right? It's just not a viable thing. Yeah. Of course, now with like the way the PBR money is, some of those guys probably could buy ranches.
Yeah, there's a few of them that have, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is really cool,
and I think that's what all of our mindsets was, just to see some young guys, which I guess when the whole thing started, it was just kind of where we were at, try to better what we were doing and try to financially help ourselves. But we did see that down the road we wanted to see some guys make money. Now, I don't know that any of us really envisioned, a $7 million bull rider, I mean, I don't know if that was really in our mindset, but, you see guys like JB and Chris Shivers and some others that, Glaramie, those guys have left the sport with with something to speak of, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing, right? Because it's a bull riding in specific. I mean, it's a rough sport, and it can leave you a lot of ways. And with something after is generally not how it's been, right?
Right.
It's usually something wrong forever.
Well, and that's the other things that a lot of young guys. I mean, there's thousands of guys every year that aspire to be bull riders or professional rodeo guys, and for whatever reason, probably the biggest majority of the reason is no work ethic. And but then there's other guys that you can't control some injuries, and you know what I'm saying, stuff like that, or family situations or whatever. Because there's a lot of guys that never left home that could have gone and really excelled at it, that never left just for maybe had kids or maybe had a good job or had a ranch or whatever. So
right,
or was working on a ranch, and so it's, I don't know, the whole thing's. I mean, the whole lifestyle is cool, and it's some people come in through different avenues, but and you see that now more often, more guys coming into the sport that grew up in cities or whatever, and so they don't really know what they're getting into, and that's where my heart is for the youth. Is there's a lot of kids that get into this deal and their parents have zero clue how to build, grow them up into it, and so they get them in over their heads, and then they get wiped out a couple times and lose their heart or get hurt or something like that. So I'm a big advocate of trying to try to dumb things down a little bit for those kids till they mature physically, mentally, and get enough experience. My story is I got on 2,500 head of steers probably before I ever even got on one bull. So when I got on my first bull, he had zero chance to buck me off because he was just a junior bull, just a little dink. But I was on pins and needles just because he was a bull. But anyway, I was just prepared. I prepared. My parents provided that avenue to be able to be prepared, for later on. So nowadays with the buck and bull programs and stuff, that's not quite as readily available to those guys. So it's got to be a strategy. I think back then there was no the state of what it was in kind of took care of us and kind of built us up, step by step. And nowadays, right. I think a lot of people get in over their heads just for lack of information or taking good advice. So
yeah. Well, it's tough, right? Like with anything, but especially something like bull riding, you could get the wrong idea about how difficult the sport is if you're not careful. You don't have the right people around you.
Yeah, it's easy to watch the PBR and watch them guys making thousands and thousands of dollars a weekend, and think, oh heck, I want to do that. Well, you better be ready for something more than just thousands of dollars on the weekend. There's
right.
going to be some ups and downs and hospital stays, and who knows? There's all kinds of stuff. But anyway, so it's a pretty rugged sport. But
yeah,
but at the same time, if you want to get in and get involved and get be an athlete about it, you got a good chance.
Right, so. Right, yeah, and I mean there's so many opportunities, right? Guys like you or the Cody Lamberts of the world, like there's so many opportunities for people to go to places and learn, right? Like and it wasn't like that probably the same way when you were coming up.
Not quite as much. There was a few. I went to a couple of schools when I was young, but there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity out there, and you just had to listen to Grandpa and Dad and Uncle Danny and that whole bunch. They showed me a lot, and plus I rode horses bareback. I never even had a saddle when I was a kid. We didn't have a kid's saddle, so I was either riding my dad's saddle to rope in, or I was just riding bareback, and so I kind of taught myself how to hang on with my legs and move my hips and stuff like that. And I give that a lot of credit just because we just wild yahoos riding bareback out through the.
Yeah, my sisters and I did the same thing. We just disappear on bareback for hours.
Yep. So anyway, there's great opportunity out there, and for this probably be taken wrong by some people, but there's a lot of guys out there that suck.
Yeah.
And it's easy to kick their butts,
Right.
But if you want to put in the time.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of guys that have settled for just mediocre or less. And, And I mean, I see that at the top level. There's guys with a lot of talent that are just.
You think? Let me ask you. You don't have to name any names, but this is a common conversation when you're talking about bull riding, right? Forever, there's going to be a comparison between rodeo and PBR, and rodeo is always going to be here compared to PBR as far as bull riding is concerned, at least in the conversations, right?
Yeah.
You think it's a lot of the rodeo guys who?
No, it's not. It's not. There's some that do. There's some guys rodeoing right now that should go to the PBR, and there's some guys go at the PBR that should go back and rodeo.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be a bottom feeder their whole career. They're going to end their career thinking they did something. They didn't do anything.
Right.
All they did was just get on TV every once in a while and have some mediocre sponsor. Then there's guys that are out there riding bulls that if they don't leave the rodeo world and go to the PBR, they're leaving something on the table, in my opinion. And and everything has to do with who you hang out with. I mean, if I was to go back to riding or whatever, I'd put my rigging bag next to JB Mooney's every time.
Yeah.
He's the baddest cat ever, And if I traveled with a lot of guys, I traveled with some guys that were great and had the right mentality, and I traveled with some guys that didn't quite have the right mentality, but they're good friends of mine and stuff like that. And so I tell the story. It was 1986. I got to get in with Bobby Del Vecchio and Glenn McIlvain, and that changed my whole perspective on what I was out there doing. And I was, the other guys I traveled with, it not of their fault. They just didn't have the right mentality. And when I got in the truck with Bobby and Glenn, I learned a lot of stuff. Some of it wasn't pretty, but some of it, I did learn how to rodeo and how to go win, and so that's, I see a lot of guys that just, they hang out with their buddies and they never leave the comfortable little place. And
right,
when I was 1988, 85, I think it was 1986, I left Arizona and came to Texas just because I knew that's where all the
place
bull
to
riders
be.
were.
Yeah.
And I lived down in Lampasas, and there was a jackpot every night of the week within about 100 miles of there. And that's where I got on a lot of bulls, those little jackpots, but learned a lot and got to be competitive and learned how to win. And, and so I just see a lot of guys that never leave their little comfort zone, and that's fine. That's what you want to be or who you want to be.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because then you'll see other people, young people like Kai Hamilton, come all the way from Australia. He has had a great year. He's sitting right behind Sage Kimsey, just barely. Yeah. I mean, at the beginning of the year, it's funny because they came on our show, him and Colton Fritzland, who's from Colorado.
Yeah,
and he lives real close to where my family's from, so they're both great guys. But it was funny when they came on. They were actually the first episode we ever recorded on this show.
Really?
And I think Kai Hamilton something that he was going to be the world champion or something like that, rodeo world champion. And I mean, he's right there. That's what eight.
I've been watching that kid. I never met him till last weekend. I met him at Casper at the PBR up there. And
he's a funny kid.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah. I mean, we visited for a little bit. Kind of cool to see them young guys like that. I mean, he wants to be great. He's not just here for the fun of it. He's here to be great.
Well, I mean, you don't leave the comfort of your family and your home country, come all the way across the world to do something. If you don't.
Well, some guys do.
Yeah, I guess some guys maybe
he
do.
hasn't.
Yeah.
But
yeah, or I guess I would say you would think they wouldn't, and I mean he's proof that they don't. But I mean, it's interesting because it's just all the trailblazers through the sport, and whether or not you consider yourself that or not is up to you. But if you're a world champion, if you're inducted into the Hall of Fame, you're considered by most people to be pretty impressive in rodeo, which is, I mean, that's the honor. Anybody who retires from rodeo wants to be in the Hall of Fame, which, I mean, you got inducted, what, 2017?
Yeah, 2017, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, sir. Yeah, so, I mean, that's, okay, so when you go into the sport, I don't know if that's what you're thinking. You're
probably not in the moment, right? You're trying to get enough money to go to the next rodeo. But.
Yeah, to me, it was, Clint Corey called me to tell me the news, and that was really exciting to me just because Clint's a guy I looked up to, and he's a little bit older than me, and a good friend. And when he called me, it was really unexpected. I really did not expect it. I know my son Aaron and my nephew Marty had nominated me way back when, probably 2006 or something like that, 2005 or 6. But I never thought about it again. It never even crossed my mind again. And when I got the call, it's like, that's just like icing on the cake,
Right.
I wasn't trying to be a Hall of Famer. I was trying to be a guy that made a living and made an impact on the bull riding world. And fortunately for me, I did. It was good. And the thing is, a lot of guys think it's so much self-will and all that stuff. I had a lot of breaks. Every guy that makes it has a lot of breaks. Now, sometimes the breaks are not being half-hearted and driving all night and riding injured a little bit and stuff like that. But I really feel like I can't take all the credit for it, because I did have some breaks, and so now I worked hard at it, and it was something that it was a goal, it was a dream. I tell the story. I found a little journal from 1982. I used to write in a few times a week or whatever, and at the front of that book there was a long-term goal, or short-term goals and long-term goals, and some of them were like winning the high school state championship, the nationals, all that stuff. But in the long term, it was to make the NFR in 5 years and to be the world champion in 10 years. And that was in 1982.
Yeah.
I made the NFR in 87, which was 5 years, and I was the world champion in 92, which was 10 years. So
yeah. It's like right on the
cool.
dot. That is
yeah.
cool.
So I tell kids all the time at those schools, like, write stuff down so you can see it. So every time I open that book, that's the first thing I saw. And I didn't even realize it happened that way until I found the book,
right?
A couple of years ago, and so it's kind of a good story to tell those kids and kind of give them. You got to have vision, you got to put it out in front of your face and look at it. And some people put stuff up by their mirror and all that stuff when they're brushing their teeth. They can look at it and whatever. But whatever it is, you got to find whatever it is that keeps you motivated and keeps you getting to that place. And that's why I tell a lot of kids, a lot of young guys that are going, like, sometimes it just doesn't happen. Some days you walk in the arena and it's all piece of cake. You
right.
Get in there and take care of business. Some days you got to find it. And so you got to figure out what that is to get you to that place. And I think a lot of guys never really consider that, because there's sometimes when you're riding, hands hurting, or you've been driving all night and you're tired and you're not feeling good. One of the best bull rides I ever made was on a bull that was rarely ridden. I was so sick I couldn't even keep my head up.
And just nervous about riding him?
No, I was just sick.
Sick.
Yeah, I was just sick, and it was actually, I drank too much the night before, but I was sick,
yeah.
And I could care less if I lived or died. And it was a bull called Rocky Mountain that was E.C. Hunt owned him, and then Christensen Brothers ended up with him at the end of his career. But I had him at Puyallup, Washington, and I got there, and I didn't care if I lived or died. It didn't matter,
You were just, and I know the kind of sick you're talking about.
Yeah.
So does Ty, actually.
And I was, I hung my rope on that bull, and I wasn't even thinking about what he was. I think if I wouldn't have been so sick, I'd have been sweating him. But I made one of the best rides and won a rifle, and it was a great day. Now, I'm not saying that's something you should do, but the way you go about it, if you don't sweat those things and you just do what you do, I'd been doing it for years, and so I just got on with nothing in my mind except what I had to do, one step at a time, and one of the best rides I ever made in my life.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Did you puke when you were done? You're like, just get the rest of the poison out?
I didn't have anything left to puke, I don't think.
I bet a lot of guys, especially like a JB. I bet he's got a lot of those stories.
Maybe so. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the fun things about rodeo. Like, it's hard because you got to take it all in when you go to those cool places, and sometimes that's just what happens.
Yeah, I mean, and I quit drinking not too long after that. I just shut it down. I felt like it wasn't helping where I was trying to get.
Right.
And my faith kind of went to a different level, and I got away from, like I'll drink beer and stuff now, but that's no big deal. But I just, the reason I did it is I just felt like it was taking away something about where I was trying to get. And so,
right.
And I share the story at my schools. I remember 1985, I was smoking pot on the balcony at a hotel with a girl and another guy, and we're just smoking weed. And I looked out and I saw a billion stars. It was in Billings, Montana.
Yeah.
And I went, this is robbing your dream. And I quit. I just, and similar, that was a similar type of deal with the drinking. I just saw that it wasn't helping me and helped me get where I was supposed to be.
Right.
And so I put it away and got serious about my riding and didn't stay out all night at the bars and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, you got to decide what you got to decide what you're going to do and how you're going to go about it. Everybody's a little bit different. Some guys that doesn't affect them. And well, I take that back. It probably affects everybody a little bit, but they're not thinking on those terms. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where I was at when I quit carousing and all that stuff and just really put my mind into riding bulls, and it paid off. So pretty thankful for that,
Guys, Manscaped, the Lawnmower 3.0. The only thing I wish I could have done in my whole life is try the first and second version of this trimmer. Why? Because I wanted to see how much better this one was than what they created before. I will tell you, they sent me this exact Lawnmower 3.0 right here. I took it to town, guys. I did what they said. I mowed the lawn. It was a pleasurable experience, to say the least. I know we have a lot of ladies out there. I know we've got female followers, a good number of you. Guys, get the Lawnmower 3.0 for your man, for your cowboy, for the men in your life. Everybody wants a clean undercarriage. Everyone wants clean shaved. I know this is a weird topic, right? It's a little bit weird, but in this Lawnmower 3.0, you have the most premium trimmer on the market. It's waterproof, guys. You've got 90 minutes of battery life with this sucker. You've got this little LED light. You see that? Yeah, you can trim in the dark. If you don't want anybody to see you, you can trim in the dark. Maybe that's in a living quarters horse trailer. Point is, I will never use another trimmer in my life. Once you guys get your Lawnmower 3.0, you will never, ever use another trimmer. With their ceramic blades, they've got a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology. Yeah, quiet stroke technology. You cannot go wrong with the Lawnmower 3.0, guys. It's the newest version from Manscaped. Get yourself right. We're cowboys. We're not heathens. Manscaping is important. Take care of your manscaping, people. And guys, do I have a deal for you? You can get your very own Lawnmower 3.0 with a 20% discount plus free shipping. Yeah, 20% and free shipping. Come on, guys. You want that. Use promo code GAUGE at checkout. That is GAUGE at checkout when you go to manscaped.com. You'll thank me later. Manscaped.com. Yeah, I mean, it takes such a commitment to rodeo, right? Just because it takes everything out of you. It's a year-long deal, right? I mean, it's just a full calendar year. And if you do it like long-term, like what you did, especially if you go 6 times the NFR, right? I mean, it's by the time you made one NFR, you're already thinking about the next one before you even get to the show for that year, because that's just how the rodeo year works. So I mean, you have to be squared away. Yeah, and my story was I went 6 times in a row. It was just a given. I was going to the NFR, and I made it in '87, and I ended up 15th when I went the first year, and I had surgery on I had an ACL repair right after the finals, so I never started back until May, and I was just going to the finals. I be back at the NFR, and sure enough, I ended up
in '88, I won the Cow Palace, which is the last rodeo of the year back then, and made the finals. And then the next few years was pretty. I was up high in the standings, when I went in. But I got hurt in 93 after I won the world in 92, and I missed 5 years of going to the NFR. Just some injury would keep me. I'd be in the top 15 and I'd get hurt.
Right.
Excluding 1986, I just didn't make the finals that year. But so I qualified back in 98, and this is a regret that I have looking back, is I didn't go to the NFR with being the world champion on my mind. I was just happy to be back.
Right.
And it showed my riding, Same thing happened in 99.
Almost like you felt like maybe you shouldn't be there, or what?
Like I was just happy that I finally, I'm back to the finals.
Because of all the crap that happened in between.
The 6 years there or the 5 years that I missed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I didn't go about it with the right mentality. I didn't go in there to kick ass. I went in there to I'm back at the finals. I was kind of happy. Well, Ty Murray's got one of my buckles and Mike White's got the other one,
Right.
I should have had that on my mind. Now, I'm not saying I would have won it, but looking back on my career, that's really the only thing I regret, that I didn't go into those last two NFRs with that on my mind.
Right.
I just went in and had a mediocre finals and kind of, just didn't have the right mindset, or the mindset that I wish I had, would have had. So
sure.
But, that's where I was at the time, and it gives me something to tell those guys, hey, you got to have the right mindset. You got to go in there trying to come out number one rather than just happy to be there. Because if you're just happy to be there, that's what the issue is with what 90% of the guys that are going nowadays. They're just happy to be there. They're in love with the lifestyle. They're not committed to trying to be great at the sport, and you can't do that. And bull riding's about the only sport or the only event you can do that in, and still have some quality success.
Yeah.
If you're doing that in the calf roping or the team roping,
you're gonna get the break speed off.
Yeah, because there's a billion guys out there that can do it and that have the work ethic. Bull riders, I hate to say it, but man, there's very few of them that have any kind of work ethic that's gonna.
Well, and those are the jokes, right? Like the joke, like, just be a lazy bull rider. that's.
Yeah, and it's a bad joke. You know what I'm saying? And that's, I try to, those guys that I see that are going about it like that, I try to talk to. I don't offer up my opinion to anybody. I don't really have. They haven't kind of given me permission, but
right.
There's Dalton Castle. You probably heard of him. He came on. He went to a couple of my schools when he was young, and I've known him since he was in high school, and he high school rodeoed with my boy and stuff. But after he won that first bull riding, they PBR plastered all over their website and stuff. And I called him that week, and I said, hey man, congrats, and he said, thank you. And I said, hey, I just want to give you a little word. I said, you ain't shit, dude. You haven't done nothing. I said, they're going to make you their little poster boy and all this stuff, but I said, don't buy into it. Don't listen to what they're saying. I said, you remember why you're here and what you're doing. You can't listen to them, because I could start naming this guy that came in and set the bull riding world on fire, and then they started listening to all the hype. And that's as far as they ever, that they were mediocre for their whole career. And there's a few of them still going that I could name, and it's sad, really. But anyway,
maybe that's where the Brazilians have an advantage. Is they don't speak English, so they can't understand the hype.
Well, I don't.
Portuguese is a benefit with bull riding.
There's a few of them that kind of probably have fallen into it. But I think the benefit they have is they've lived in houses with dirt floors, and they've worked in the field, they know what real poverty is. Americans don't. Can't get my Wi-Fi today. That's poverty in America.
Yeah, the first world problems.
Yeah,
which it's funny, like in the world we live in right now, how exacerbated that idea is, that, that America's so messed up. But it's interesting because you don't really think about those mentalities in rodeo. I mean, especially bull riding, right? Because if you look at it, I mean, it's a brutal sport, right? There's a lot of risk, and you wouldn't necessarily think that you would have like quote unquote like surf bum bull riders just because of the risk, but it happens.
There's a bunch of them. I mean, I think there's more now that are committed to work ethic and working out, stuff like that. But I mean, I can just think back of guys that, from my era on forward, that, which I didn't know the ones behind me. There was probably some like that too, but I just jack around during the week and, don't get on any practice bulls. I practiced till the end of my career. I mean, I got on a lot of practice bulls, and I was always working towards being better, getting myself better. The last year I rode, I was done in April, but I didn't quit until October. But I remember the day that I was done. I called home and told my wife, I said, "Hey, it's not fun anymore. I'm done." And I think a lot of guys go past that. And you talk to Justin McBride, Ty Murray, those guys. The day it was over, they quit. They never got on again.
Yeah.
The day they knew. I knew in April. I probably should have quit in April, but
You pushed it.
I mean, I got out alive.
Yeah. I mean, because that's the danger, right? Like, if you lose whatever that is, and it's not just bull riding, it's like any sport with big consequences. You see it. I don't know if you watch like Ultimate Fighting or boxing or anything like that.
A little bit, yeah.
Man, but when you see those old guys who they don't want to give it up, but they don't have it, those guys get hurt so bad.
Yeah.
So bad. I mean, there's so many consequences if you're not mentally there, and stuff like any rough stock event. I mean, bull riding most of all, because a bucking horse is just going to go past you. A bull's going to turn around and try to get you, and
Yeah.
There's consequences,
Yeah. I mean, at the end of I was 38 when I quit, and I was probably a couple of years past when I should have, but I was still able to compete a little bit. I mean, there'd be some weekends I'd show up and I'd be all there. Like,
yeah.
The night I decided to quit, I remember I was pulling my rope and I was thinking about my wife and kids at home. I kind of got hurt a little bit that night. I just said, man, I don't even like this anymore. I mean, I love it, but I don't like it. So, anyway, the sport is so, it's so demanding that's why it's a young man's sport. You gotta be tunnel vision. You gotta have, if you start getting kids and you start getting a place that you got to take care of and all that stuff, your mind's not focused. Your mind's not just focused on riding bulls,
right?
And it has to be able to be, not even competitive, but to be. I don't even know what the word is, but to be there. You know what I'm saying? And so, that's why it's a young man's sport. Guys get older, they don't. When you get 30, things change, and I talked to JB about that. I was telling him, I said, your body changes, you get, some things change, and you gotta adjust to it a little bit. And talked to him about a few little techniques that I felt like might help him. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he even listened to me or not, but I just was talking to him about how, telling him about how when I was 30, I just felt like things changed a little bit, and had to adjust a little bit for it. So, but anyway.
Yeah. It's like when you get on the bottom end of your 20s and like 30 starts creeping up, because I'm getting dang close myself. Yeah, just sometimes you just wake up and you're like, ooh, that doesn't feel right. I'm not old enough to feel this. Well, I guess Father Time's coming for me too, but
it happens fast, buddy. I'll tell you that. I was just 28 the other day.
Yeah, that's what everybody says.
Yeah.
You have certain days where it feels like a whole lifetime, and then other days like a whole year goes by.
This year's been gone by crazily.
You think this year's gone by fast?
I think so.
Really?
I think it's just.
I have to disagree wholeheartedly. I feel like this has been the longest, most brutal time ever.
Well,
yeah.
I guess
How do you feel, Ty?
I guess in one way, yeah.
Yeah. One way
fe-
or another, depending on how it's affected
It feels
you.
like it's gone crazy fast because I remember February just like as if it was yesterday, but
Really?
also feels like that it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it just depending on how this whole COVID thing has affected you, and if it's affected you in more than one area, like it has me, because I have another business that has been just brutalized by all this, and it's just like
Right.
every day there's another problem. So for me, it just feels like it's a snail's race to try to get to like January 1.
Well, everything I had that was bringing in income
Yeah,
was gone.
yeah,
So we started a transport company. I've just been driving. I've been hauling
really,
trucks and cars and motorcycles
yeah,
in an enclosed trailer, and it's worked out pretty good because I get to stop, see friends along the way.
yeah,
Go visit my mom, and it all gets paid for. So
yeah,
I tell people I'm still rodeoing. Only this time it's guaranteed check,
right,
and I don't have any new scars on my chin.
yeah.
So
That's interesting. It's interesting that you started a hot shop business because a lot of people went out of business.
well, my buddy that I'm partners with in this, he started it. He was working construction, and his son came down with cancer, so he started this on the side where he would drive on the weekends for extra money. Well, he shut it down for a few years just because he moved to Texas, and he's from Arizona, and so what happened is like anytime I'd go to Arizona, he would hook me up with something to take out there to pay for my trip and bring back.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we were doing a little more of that, and then when all this started, I said, heck, let's get after it a little bit and see what happens. So it's been good. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Got to see a lot of people, and it's like last weekend I went and judged that PBR at Casper, and so we made a run up there. I took some bikes and a car up there and brought some back. So
Sure.
double dipping.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I know a whole lot about that business because I've got a trailer dealership, and so I'm always
Right.
hiring hotshot guys to make runs from like Indiana and back. So
I'll give you my card.
yeah, do that. Because there's never enough transporters.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of bad ones. So
I've heard.
always changing their insurance around or putting stuff in the trailers when they're not supposed to. But that's a story for not a podcast because then people will fall asleep. That's not nearly as exciting as World Championship bull riding.
Yeah.
At least not in conversation.
Yeah.
But it's interesting talking about the PBR because you were like, when all that was getting formulated, you were right there. Kind of, you had some to do with that.
Yeah, we formed the PBR in '92, and that was the year I won the world in the PRCA. Actually we formed in '91, but '92 was kind of when everything kind of started going. We had a few events in '92 and '93. '94 was actually the first official year that we had a crowned world champion, but we did have some other stuff leading up to that. But part of my story in the scheme of the PBR and kind of how part of how it came along is the Bull Riders Only was going on and established that year in '91, and they had a meeting in Denver, and I wasn't able to make the meeting because I had my circuit finals that weekend. So I showed up at Denver and was handed a contract and said they needed it signed by Wednesday. I was like, "What Wednesday you talking about?" They're like, "Day after tomorrow." It was a several page contract, and it was written. I was like, I'm gonna let my attorney look at it before I sign anything.
Yeah.
And I was told we can do this with or without you, and I handed it back to him and walked off. So I didn't even go to him in '91.
Yeah.
Later that year, at the end of the year, I was asked why I didn't go to him, and I said because I wouldn't sign the contract. And there were several of those guys that were going to him that hadn't signed their contract. So as a group, they went together and told the BRO that if I didn't get to come, they weren't coming.
Mm-hmm.
So what it did, I think it just showed everybody that there's power in numbers.
Yeah.
And so we'd formed that collective bargaining group, and we missed a few events, I think, over trying to prove that we were going to stick together.
Right.
And what the deal was, there were some guys that were doing standalone bull riding events, and they're packing these stadiums and putting up $10,000 for the bull riders that we had to split up, and no insurance, no say so on who fought bulls, what kind of bulls were there, which at the time the set of bulls, Sammy Andrews and that whole bunch, they were the ones bringing the bulls, and they had a good set of bulls, but so I think that so just my little part of the story is that I think because of that, everybody realized that if we stick together, we can get something done. In '92, we showed up at the NFR all wearing our PBR jackets, all of us that were involved in it, which was almost all of us. And you talk about some people were naysaying and saying not very nice. Some of them weren't very nice, and I don't think they really liked that and they were hideous looking jackets too. They were red with black stripes on them, and then they had the big PBR logo on the back, like you couldn't miss them. They stood out, and I think it torqued a few people off. But we weren't trying to damage rodeo. All we were trying to do is just help the sport of bull riding, and we saw that it was going to its standalone type venues, and we wanted to be part of it, and we wanted to, since people were coming to see us, we wanted to be, compensated for it. So I think that's kind of that's part of how the whole thing started. And then you got Bud Light came on, and TNN, the Nashville network, and we had a couple of guys involved that had a little bit of business sense about them, and so it all worked out. I mean, it was a unbelievable thing, honestly, how it all went down. So, I'm just really, there's a couple guys involved in it that said we were smarter than everybody else, but we were just in the right place at the right time. Our little group wasn't smarter than the guys ahead of, that went ahead of us. They just didn't have the opportunity like we did.
Right.
We just walked right into something that, and all the pieces fell together. It wasn't just accidentally, but just the pieces all fell together, and we were the guys that were riding bulls at the time. And it could have been that set of guys that was before us too,
right?
If everything would have fell into place, because they're all opinionated and got some backbone and stuff like that. So it could have happened 10 years before it happened to us, or whatever, 20 years, whatever. It's just everything fell in place at the right time. So we weren't smarter than everybody. Contradictory to what a couple of those my friends had to say about it. We weren't as smart as we think we were, but we did have some backbone, and it all just came together, Pretty exciting, pretty cool deal.
It is, especially like when you look at it now, not even 30 years later, and it's owned by Endeavor, which is what has the UFC, and it's just huge. It's awesome. They're traveling all over the place. The shows are great. The athletes are awesome. The bull stock, I mean, just the culture of raising bulls now is insane.
Well, and that's, a lot of people have come into the sport because of that.
Mm-hmm.
People have no idea. I mean, I talk to people all the time that have gotten involved that they didn't grow up in any kind of country lifestyle or whatever, and they've gotten involved just because they were intrigued by it, and they saw an opportunity to be able to invest in some bulls and stuff like that. So it's a really cool deal. I'm excited to watch it every time I get to watch it.
Yeah.
I don't know every guy now, but what's cool is there's a lot of them young guys that have gone to my schools that are in there and having success and stuff like that. So it's pretty exciting to watch, and just the whole sport, not just the PBR. I mean, the rodeos are exciting to me too. I love seeing them guys, and plus I'm a fan of every event.
Right?
Like I team rope a little bit.
Yeah.
And I love watching the team roping. That's
the times they get turned in and the team roping is just it's getting
wow.
Unreal. Same with everything. I mean, if you go to Vegas, not Vegas this year, but in general, and you watch the times that are turned in on the team rope and the tie down, the bulldogging, the barrel racing, like it's just unbelievable. Like the evolution of the animals as the breeding gets better, the times get faster, the athletes get sharper. It's just like every year you watch, you're wondering where the ceiling is. Like, when does this just flatten out? It's just amazing.
I was 5'3" in the team roping one day, and that was the greatest day of my life. And the only reason you could place at the NFR with a 5'3" is just because a bunch of people missed.
They slipped a leg. Everybody slipped a leg. Yeah.
But
it's different. Yeah, I mean, if you look at like World Series for team roping, it's created great opportunities for everybody of every level to kind of partake and win a ton of money. It's just the layers that we're getting in rodeo and everything, like with breakaway coming on and all the layers that are involved with that.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's really exciting.
It is exciting. Yeah, you look at the WCRA and everything the PRCA is doing, all the circuit rodeos. It's just the whole machine. Yeah. No matter what your opinions are of any specific organization, the whole machine is growing, and people are able to make more money. And you see a
well, you got to be excited for all of it. You can't just, I mean, like the PBR. PBR has opened some doors for the sport, and I'm excited for that too. But you can't just, you can't knock the other. The PRCA made us who we were. You know what I'm saying? And so, now there's a bunch of kids that they'll never go to a PRCA rodeo. They'll just go to the PBR, whatever. That's cool. I just think, it's like JB and I were talking, and I don't know if the cat be out of the bag, but he's been rodeoing, and everybody knows that, but he wants to go to the NFR. Because he's from that era that was really that, in his mind that was prestigious, and it's still prestigious, but he's been to the PBR finals 13 times or whatever, and he still wants to go to the NFR. That's pretty exciting. That's pretty cool.
It'd be really cool to see him at the NFR. Yeah.
I don't doubt it if he'd be there.
Yeah.
Wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
Especially if he brings his absolute A game, and you get to see him kind of face off with some of those top rodeo guys, and that'd be a fun, intriguing thing to watch.
Well, he's rodeoed in the past. He just, the PBR, I guess the demand of the PBR schedule is kind of been tough on him, but we'll see what happens. He won Hempstead last weekend, so he's in the top 3 or 4 right now for 2021. So.
Yeah, that'd be fun to watch. Yeah. I hope he does it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Just for the story and for the drama that'll ensue.
Well, he was finished pretty much. I mean, he was finished physically until he got that shoulder redone.
Yeah,
Tandy redid the shoulder, and he couldn't make his shoulder do what it needed to do. When Tandy went in there and cleaned everything out, it freed things up where he can get his free arm back up where it's supposed to be, I know he in his mind he didn't think he didn't think he was done, but physically in my mind he was gonna get hurt worse. Once that thing got cleaned out, it just he looks pretty dang good.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. It's going to be exciting, and it's fun to get to talk to guys like you who kind of paved the way for this newer trend that's in rodeo, and I'm sure it's awesome anytime you get to reminisce. If you have a world championship, just getting to think about that, there's just nothing like that, obviously. And when you do what you do, it helps the sport as a whole. So it's good to get to talk to you here, Cody.
Yeah, you bet. I mean, I like my boy Brett. He rides bulls, and he had a pretty good chance to make the finals in 2018. He broke his jaw at Cheyenne, punctured his ear canal, so I think it kind of messed his equilibrium up, and he just kind of never really has gotten back to that spot. But he won the circuit finals year before, or let's see, was it last year? Year before last, he won the average at the circuit finals in the Prairie Circuit, and so it's kind of I'm still involved that way, which he's out with a knee injury right now, and he probably won't be back till April. But so I get to go around to those rodeos with him, so I know a lot of these young guys, and a lot of them I helped when they're in the youth bull riding and stuff like that, and so I've been really involved in the youth bull riding from I don't know, from about 2005 and putting on schools and stuff like that. And I really enjoy being around it. And so anything I can do to speak into those guys and help them along their way, I do. And I've kept a bunch of dinks around the house and fed them. They eat as much as a bucker. But I've gone in the hole on that situation, but it's all worth it when those guys, you know, when I see them succeed and stuff like that. It's like Dalton Castle and Colton Fretzlin and guys like that you help when they're young. You see them doing well. So anyway, so I'm excited and kind of looking forward to seeing what my boy Brett does when he comes back, because he's got big goals and big dreams, and probably he's got maybe a little more pressure than other people just because of who I am or whatever. And I told him, I said, nobody cares about that. I said, you can't, you know, they may be talking about that, but I said that's between you and you. You know, you got to get past that and make that be a motivator rather than than working against you. So
yeah. I mean, anything that happens with your ears, that's tough to get over. So I'm glad he was able to get through that.
Yeah, and I mean, he's healthy as far as the rest of him. His knee, this knee deal he's kind of been battling that, and so Tandy fixed that. So hopefully he'll be back 100% in April and go make a run at the finals. So
yeah, well, good luck to him, and he's got a good guy to help him in his corner, so it doesn't hurt when your dad's a world champion.
I try to keep my mouth shut too much. I might go drive for him every once in a while, but he knows as much about bull riding as I do, or as anybody out there going. It's just the experience part now, and we'll see what happens. He's pretty excited, but I've been watching him. He's motivated in a different way now. So anyway, kind of exciting.
Like you're saying, that's probably what it takes. I'm sure he'll get her done.
Yeah, sometimes like that. That's something like that happens. That's really not a bad thing. It's kind of a good
you
thing
see it in
for
other
you.
sports. Yeah, I mean, you see that in other sports, and generally there's something. It's either they quit or they get 10 times better.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Well, good. We'll let you get on the road. And
are you trying to get rid of me?
Not at all. I offered you drinks and everything. You didn't take me up on it, so my feelings are a little hurt.
I got some driving to do. I better not get on the
true.
sauce.
That is true. Yeah, you're a prestigious group of guests on our show who denied alcohol, like one of 3.
Well,
and I think the other 2 were underage.
Next time I'll bring a driver.
There you go. This has been The Gauge, hosted by me, Chance Conrado, produced and edited by our guy Ty Yeager. Shout out to the executive producers Dustin Pointer and Cody Denton. Marketing and content by Cassie Emerson. Our theme song is by Shay Ashshire and the Night Howlers. Make sure to rate and review this podcast, as well as follow The Gauge on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And make sure to subscribe to The Gauge wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you guys next time.